Okay, Saturday night action. We're here messing around with the green bug. What I wanted to show you was proper chain adjustment for a rigid frame. There is some confusion in this, even by people who should know better. I'll explain. First off, you're dealing with a rigid frame with mechanical brake in this instance. And so what you have is a little tab right here that has to fit into the frame that prevents the whole thing from flopping around and killing you. That's your stop. You don't put that in. That's the little tab right there in front of the adjuster in that little slot. If that don't go in the hole, you're dead. It's that simple. If it falls out of the hole, you're dead. It's that simple. So when you adjust these, you make sure your chain adjusters are locked down. That's the locking nut right in front, that big 9/16 nut. And the adjuster is actually up against your center spacer on this here. You've got your axle and you've got your axle sleeve here. That's what that's called. And this axle sleeve goes into the hub and it has a spacer that this adjuster screw goes onto. There's one on each side here, and this has to actually go up against your axle. There's little slots here, so your axle slides in. Your center spacer there, right side spacer here, is actually has a little slot or recessed area in the center where your axle fits into. It only goes in one way. Again, this has to be locked down, and you do not measure these. Measurement is irrelevant on the rigid frame. There are different lengths, but the actual screw or center piece I was showing you is the same length on both sides. What's different is your left and right tabs on the frame. So what you have to look for is this here is centered. Your actual sprocket has to be centered on the chain. It has to slide freely, it has to spin. Okay. Your rear chains is a brand new chain, and this here is why I'm showing everybody. I'm going to get to it here in just a second. And I've argued and argued with people who should know better and sit there and tell me a brand new chain doesn't have a tight spot, and they're full of crap. This here is your master link. This spins up and around like this. The rear of the master link here has to face in the direction of travel. If you put it going this way, your master link will fall off. That's important. I've seen people put these on backwards. I've seen them put them in from the other side. I don't know how they did that. And this here is the tight spot on this chain right here. That's the tight spot on this chain. You want a 1/2 inch up and down travel. Now as we get over to this side here, let me spin it around. See how much looser that is? There's a tight spot on the brand new chain. On every one of them. I've had people argue with me that have 15, 20 years more experience than me that a brand new chain doesn't have a tight spot. Well, every one of them does. No exception. It's a matter of how much of a tight spot. You cannot tell a worn out chain by having it on the bike. This is really, really bad. If you can physically see it on the bike, your chain's about ready to snap and break your tranny case. So when you get a brand new used bike, the rear chain, you have to drop your master link, pull your chain off. If it's dirty, stick it in an oil bath overnight, let it hang up and dry, or drip if you will. Get rid of the excess oil, put it on the ground in the direction of your chain, and see how much arc you have. Brand new chain has a little bit of arc like this. You get a chain that has an arc like that, or worse, well, new chain time, because they wear out inside these links. You can't see it from the outside. You have to take it off. And when you adjust it, as I said, your sprocket can't be on either side. You want it in the center. This is how you tell. You're not measuring on these rigids your length here, side to side. If it was a swing arm frame, that's what would be fine. That's exactly what you want to do. But on a rigid, you're going by your sprocket, by your travel of your wheel and your sprocket. Where's your wheel cocked to? If this is perfectly adjusted and the front end's right, this bike, and assuming the frame is straight, yes, the bike will run straight as an arrow with no hands on it. It won't flop side to side. It won't try to go over to the left or the right. It'll just go down the road. No problem. Anybody's ever watched Electroglide Blue? Cop got shut off the back of it, and the bike kept on sailing down the road for a couple of miles at the end of the story. Well, that's what they do. They keep on going. That's how they're supposed to be. So that's how you adjust the chain. You have to tighten this axle sleeve up. Double check everything. Make sure this didn't fall out of the slot. Then tighten your axle up. Double check everything. Make sure this didn't fall out of the slot. And then tighten this nut here, both sides, and double check everything and make sure your chain is adjustment. It's a process. It's not bap bap and see ya. It has to be just right. You have to have it up in the air if you really want to adjust it right. It can be done on the ground, but it's a lot harder because you want to be able to spin your tire instead of moving the bike back up and forth. This is one of the reasons why Harley had this rear stand here. You can pick it up off the ground so you can do that sort of stuff. But on the ground, it's a process. That's what you want to look for on your rear chains. And end of argument. Sorry guys, it's a brand new chain with a tight spot. They all have them. So stop telling me bullshit. And you all know who you are if you ever watch this video. Everybody tries to pretend that Todd doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. That's why Todd is where he's at, because he knows what the fuck he's doing. So we'll see y'all at the next video. Bye.